Hey, good morning to everybody. Happy Thursday. It's Daryl here. It's bright and freaking early, man. It's 3 a.m. here in Connecticut on the East Coast. Okay, I'm going to download this video on YouTube and I'm going to download it on Shu or REDNOTE. Yeah, I've been learning Mandarin. I got so excited. Once I got a REDNOTE yesterday, I'm really excited about this app. More than that, I'm excited about the Chinese people that are on there that are so welcoming and friendly, and it really has a feeling of putting governments and ideas aside and just talking to people face to face and seeing that we're all human. It was being on REDNOTE yesterday was just such a great moment. I really feel it's like a turning point where nations and borders and immigrants and all that stuff just gets put aside, and we're all people of Earth. I know it sounds kind of corny, but it's the truth. All right, so while I was on REDNOTE yesterday, I got to be honest with you guys. I don't know if I should talk about this or not, but I feel I have to talk about it. A lot of times, too, I go on Twitter or X. I'm not a fan of Twitter or X. I cannot stand Donald Trump. I cannot stand Elon Musk. I don't like conservatism or Republicans or any of that stuff. But I go on there to see what, I guess you'd say, what my enemy is doing, what the other camp is thinking about, what they're saying. So I go on there so I could do videos here on YouTube about that stuff. And I see a lot of people on Twitter talking about the Chinese people and how communism, how they're all trying to ruin America, and they don't like Donald Trump and conservatism, and they're against all this great, making America great again. And I saw a couple comments about COVID. All right, now going back about 3 years ago, especially the right, conservatives, Trumpers, were very anti-China. They still are very anti-China. And when COVID first broke out, or the whole time COVID broke out, it really kind of infuriated me that instead of centering more on the disease and what to do next and how to live and how to go about functioning with the pandemic, instead of focusing on that, they were more focused on blaming somebody, on their hatred, on their anger. Whose fault is this? What can we do? How can we punish these people? And also yesterday, it's weird how a lot of things, when things all happen, it's like fate. And I happened to see a post on Facebook yesterday, and it reminded me of COVID. Okay, this is what it is. It says, a monk once said, imagine being bitten by a snake, and instead of focusing on healing from the poison, you chase the snake to understand why it bit you and to prove that you didn't deserve it. Now, when I saw that yesterday, it reminded me of COVID. I'm not comparing China to the snake. I'm comparing COVID to the snake. You know what I mean? That mindset on the right, the conservatives, the whole time of this pandemic, I think a lot of conservatives were focused on punishing somebody for this. In between saying that it's not real. A lot of them refused to believe it was real. They thought it was, it's a very paranoid group of people, and they insisted that maybe it's just a way to control them or something like that. This is what happened. The woman I was dating, this was the love of my life. This was the first girlfriend I ever had in third grade. We separated and we got back together in our 50s, and we lived together, and I was going to end up marrying her. And she was a conservative, a right-winger. I am not. I am left, liberal, Democrat. And she refused to get the vaccination, even after they developed it. She was a Donald Trump fan. I cannot stand Donald Trump. She didn't want to wear a mask. She didn't want to social distance. And, I totally disagreed with her. I got the vaccination. I wore the mask and all that stuff. She moved down to Florida, to Jacksonville, Florida. In the summer of 2021. And I was going to go down and move down there with her. And we were going to get married. And not even a few days after getting there, she got what they call the Delta variant of COVID, a very deadly version of COVID, and she passed away. She ended up in ICU. She was intubated, and within a month or two, she was dead. She died on August 5th, 2021. This is her. That's me. That's Audrey. This is her obituary. This is what I want to say. I believe the pandemic, these things have happened all throughout history, and I don't blame China. I don't. It's like when AIDS came about. Did people blame Africa, where it was supposedly originated? No. So I didn't understand. From the way I see this, these pandemics pop up all over the place, all over the world. Next time it could be the United States. It could be Germany. It could be Japan. Who knows? And I just didn't understand. A lot of people said it was intentional, which I don't believe. I just don't believe. You know what? And no matter how it was developed or why it came about, it's here. My frame of mind is it's here. It was here now. And how do you deal with it? How do you avoid getting it? How do you get vaccinated? How do you live during a pandemic? Whereas Audrey, refused to, she wanted to believe that it was all because of China, and it was all a ploy to control people and all this other stuff, and it ended up killing her. And I never had the opinion that it was anything to do, that it was China's fault, or it was on purpose, or it was because of the Chinese people or anything like that, because it was supposedly came about in a wet market, I think they call it, where there's exotic foods in China, or it was developed in a lab. And either one of those things is irrelevant to me. It really is. Wherever this originated and how it originated is irrelevant to me. If you're developing a vaccine, maybe it's important to figure out how it came about. But to me, it's not important. To me, what's important was how to live during the pandemic, how to stay alive, how to stay healthy, how to continue my life and function during a pandemic. That's what mattered to me. Like I said, this saying I came about yesterday, if you get bitten by a snake, and instead of focusing on healing from the poison, that's what I'm talking about. Instead of focusing on healing or avoiding COVID, you chase the snake to understand why it bit you and prove that you didn't deserve it. Of course, Audrey didn't deserve it, and instead, who I do blame, I blame Donald Trump. I blame MAGA. I blame the whole right. It's the far right wing of politics in America for this attitude that vaccinations don't work, or vaccinations were bad for you, or something like that, or it was all to control people, because Audrey bought into that. Audrey bought into that mindset, and it ended up killing her. She didn't defend herself from it. Those are the people I blame for her dying, for this happening. China, no. China is to me, China was just as much of a victim as America or the rest of the world to this pandemic, regardless of how it came about. Those are my thoughts on this today. I'll be back later. So I'm learning Mandarin. I was trying to learn how to say, I am learning Mandarin, or I'm learning Chinese. Help me out with this. Is there a difference? Do you say is it Mandarin Chinese? I'm learning Mandarin, Chinese, or is it I'm learning Mandarin? Anyway, wo zhai zhe xing. Wo zhai zhe xing. I think that's I am learning. Wo zhai Shashing. It's so hard to pronounce these words. I wonder if Chinese people have just a hard time pronouncing English words, as I have trying to pronounce Chinese words. I love this. I love the cultural exchange. I've always been interested in learning about different religions. When I was younger, I bought the Quran. I bought all different. I'm Roman Catholic, but I wanted to learn about all different religions. I've always wanted to eat different foods. I remember bothering my mother. I live here in the Northeast in Connecticut, and in Northeast United States, and we don't have limes or lemons or coconuts here. And when I was younger, like 9 or 10 years old, I used to pester my mother to buy coconuts or limes or lemons when we went to the store, because I was just so amazed by these fruits. Or I don't know what a coconut is. Is a coconut a fruit or a vegetable or a nut? I'm not sure. But I always, I was always interested in different cultures, and that's why I think I love REDNOTE or Jiahongshu so much. All right, so like I said, I'm going to post this video on both channels. I wanted to talk briefly about COVID now that I'm on Jiahongshu or REDNOTE. I think it needed to be said that even though I lost the love of my life, my soulmate, to COVID, I don't think it has anything to do with the Chinese people. I don't blame China. I don't blame the Chinese people. I blame the right wing of America for talking people into not protecting themselves against COVID. That's who I blame. I'll be back later with another video. You guys have a good Thursday.